Alright guys, well today's a how-to video, how to install a Rhino Cab Extreme Aluminium Canopy on a double cab Toyota Hilux. So if you're one of the lucky owners who have a N80 Toyota Hilux, effectively, and you're with the tub liner and you want to keep the tub liner, this is how it's going to basically happen. Now, in a set, you're set with two brackets, the long brackets and then a short bracket which looks like that. You can see there's quite a bit of height difference there. The short bracket also is a two-piece bracket. Now that's going to go in the front. You can see there's a shorter distance there to the silver factory tie-down point, as well as the long bracket's going to come to the rear. So firstly, what I want to show you is how to remove the tub liner. So unscrew these basically tie-down points that they give you with your tub liner. Now one thing to note is that these can be on really tight as well, so sometimes worthwhile give them a bit of a spray with a WD-40 or a penetrative oil spray to just loosen them up a little bit. Now what we are faced with is an aluminium plate. Now that is a bracket plate off of the tie-down points, which I'll show you next. Now to get these guys out, there's also a trick, and it's extremely difficult. I don't know why, I always seem to struggle with it a bit. What you can do is lift up the middle part and stand down the edge, and that should give you enough to get out. Now I don't know how these guys actually get these things in here, but I'd like to see that one day. Come on, girl. There we go. And that's it. All right, so lifting it up in the middle is easier. I've got to go jogging more. Now what we have is, you can see there, perfect factory bracket. Now if you assume that you're going to just fasten it onto that bracket, you're wrong. Basically your line out's going to be incorrect for the canopy. So what we need to do is remove that bracket, and this is a 12mm socket that we're going to be unscrewing the main bracket with. So unscrew that. Ta-da. Now there's your factory tie-down points. Now the vehicles, the Hiluxes, without these tub liners, great, easy done. There's usually a strapping point directly on there. You just remove that. In this instance, we've got this bad boy. So now we take the long bracket, and we're going to take that tie-down bracket so we can keep it and just attach it onto, basically back into position. And if I can just get it to take, make my life a lot easier. And the next one in the slots. Now with this, what we're faced with, I'll show you now, is that's going to come in. Now before we tighten it on, let's get that to tighten. We want to line this up with the top of the actual canopy there. Now there's just some sticky stuff, some double-sided tape, adhesive tape on there, which I'll take off later properly, but effectively you want to line that up with that before you tighten it up, and that's going to be your gauge. So flush level with the top end, and then get back on there. There we go. Nice, in place. Now make sure that if you do take these bolts out, that you put a spring washer back, and if there's no spring washer fitted, fit one, or use a Loctite or a locking compound to lock those bolts into position. And that's it there. Now for the next fun part is the cutting part. Now what we're going to basically do is we need to slice the tub liner down the full length of this bracket to that position, so that protrudes through the tub liner, and in the same time come down to that section there, and basically cut a little rectangular shape out there. So for this job I use a white paint marker so I can see it, and usually it's pretty straightforward. So there's that section there, and now with the measuring tape mark on the back of the bracket. Now with a measuring tape, see how long we have to go for that. So 240 mil slot. So we'll do a 240 mil slot basically down there, mark it up, and that's going to come straight down. It's a bit dirty, that's actually not too bad, because I can, after I've cut everything, I can clean the whole back of the Hilux out, which will be fantastic. So yeah, do that, and then the top section there, from that mark, I've got to come down another 30 millimeters by 55 millimeters wide. So from that top section there is we're going to go down 30 mil, which is there, and that piece is 55 mil wide, which is to there. Now, why I do it up so roughly is I leave a little bit of tolerance, all right? Because remember now, this is sitting at an angle. When you push it back into place, we want a little bit of movement there, so it's not, you know, completely restricted. Let's put it that way. Same as the cut, that's a 4 mil plate, but I'll probably end up doing about a 6 millimeter slice all the way down. So yeah, so that's where it's going to come to. So before I'm doing any cutting in the tub, I measured up for the rear brackets, and what I decided to do is we just move the tub right out the way, the plastic tub liner rather, makes it a lot easier. So the two-piece bracket, basically you've got an L shape facing towards the rear of the vehicle, and I've pre-put the bolts in because it's a mission to get them in afterwards. And basically then you've got your two brackets. Now these are adjustable, but in the same as on the front, you're basically going to tighten them up to be flush level with the side of the vehicle. So bring that up there. Now keep those brackets into place, use the same bolts in there that came with this tub liner, and that's basically that. So I'm going to do these up next, get that into position, and then effectively we've got to make one cut in the corner of this, right up in the corner. So if you look at this side, we're going to come up in here, and we're going to just cut this right up in the corner there, so that this piece pushes behind the bracket, and that piece also pushes behind the bracket on the other side. All right guys, so brackets are all in, no worries, and we've marked up, as you can see there, where our cut line's going to be. Now you can use a jigsaw, use a knife, whatever you really want to do. I like using a little oscillating saw, works like a charm. So let's just cut these up. Bit noisy, but the nice thing is it doesn't throw burrs anywhere all over the place. It kind of all sticks it to the plastic. Now, once that's there, I like taking a deburring tool, which is basically this. You can take a knife as well. Just slice off that excess plastic so we've got a nice edge on it, like that. Okay, now, that's right. I can just see what I've done now. As you can see, it's sticking through. Obviously, we've just done a very fine cut, so we need to go slightly thicker on the blade, but we're in the right spot. So I'm just going to cut on the inside line to finish it off. Same thing again. Now remember, measurements won't always be exact. These are slotted so they move up and down as well. So it's basically to give it a bit of play. That's the main focus. And I might need a knife. There we go. That's better. Now I'm prepping all of this up. After this, tub will come out, give the car a good wash down, just to finish it off neatly, and yeah, then put it back in. So what I want to try and do is just check that this all fits in, and remember, we're going to be going behind there. And there, and as you can see, fraction more just at the bottom. See if I can nip that off with a knife. That's better. There we go. And everything back to normal. So once that's all pushed in, that should line up nicely in there. And yeah, we should be pretty good. And obviously this needs to go in all the way as well. I'm going to cut the other 3 into position and get them roughly worked off, get them nice and finished off, and then we should be good to install the tub liner again and finally get on to installing the canopy. Alrighty, so about 25 minutes later, we're all done. Basically got the brackets cut out there, cut out in the front, neatly pushed back into place. Now, before we get the canopy on, this had the tonneau cover on the top. Just note that take a rag and get a nice cleaning agent as well, and just go through all the, we've got all this double-sided tape, this glue, but just clean up the top all the way through the whole entire tub, so that the surface on the bottom of the canopy, the seal on the bottom of the canopy, has a decent surface to squish onto and adhere to. So when we compress it, the compression seal is going to have a nice smooth surface to seat onto. Now the nice thing is the canopies come in complete, fully powder coated. This is the black one, obviously. Luckily we selected the right one out of the box. And all the brackets and everything are inside these canopies as well. So that's all done and all ready to go on, which is great. Fully welded as well. All right, so I'm just getting the trestles out. Now, we lay these down before we put the canopies on. Basically what it's going to do is it's going to give us a chance to inspect the canopy through properly, make sure everything's right before it goes on the vehicle. Also I'll be able to give you a run through on the canopy on it. So let's get this. Now the nice thing with the canopies are they are lightweight, so you're only looking at anywhere between 45 and 65 kilos depending on the size of the canopy or which vehicle it's made for. So this at this end, yeah. So for 2 of us, it's pretty easy to pick up. Like that, you right? Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Okay, I'll get this side down first. You right? Yep. Okay, it's on that trestle. Pull that. Move the plastic out the way. Okay. Down. Make the loss of the boxing and the packaging. The great part is really do a great job for shipping with these canopies. We hardly ever get one damaged, touch wood. And yeah, there we go. Canopies all in and done. Now, I can go through it with you, but effectively Rhino-Cab canopy, fully welded canopy, made up of 3mm construction grade aluminium. The other nice thing is, and the biggest thing with these canopies is the practicalness of them. So you can have a canopy without interior lining, okay, without anything fancy. If you load the dog in the back, you can get a hose, rinse it out. Great for your camping stuff, dirt bike riding, perfect. I can throw my muddy, dirty boots in the back, you know, my helmet, my kit. There's no issues with getting the inside of the vehicle. It still becomes a usable vehicle. And then for us campers, and for us tourists, the nice part is that both sides open up and the rear. So what it gives you a huge amount, absolutely huge amount of practical space and easy access. And obviously these are kitted out and can be kitted out with their different shelving options, roof rack options. We've got this full roof rail running the whole length of the canopy as well. Perfect for mounting on products. Now the nice thing is with these guys, we've crushed one of these canopies at over 8 tons. So as far as the roof load going, perfect setup for your tinny loader. You know, where you've got a boat on the top, where you've got some heavy SUP boards, stand-up paddle boards. You name it, you can put that on the top of this. So great setup, really well finished, and a heavy, durable aluminium canopy with a nice durable powder coat on the top of that. Alright, so what we've done is we've loaded the canopy on. Now you can either do this with a few people, 2 to 3 guys, quite pretty easy. Otherwise, use a forklift or a hoist or something to lift it on. They're pretty light, as I say, between 45 and 65 kilos only, depending on the canopy. So load it into position. Now what we want to do is make sure that our brackets are lining up with our slotted holes. Now we have got the slots in the top, so nice 50mm bolt there. And if you check it out, you're virtually there. Now there's a bit of play, so the goal is to get it centered left to right or east to west effectively, and then as well as make sure that this seal is sealing actually on the tub itself. So according to this one, it probably needs to come back a smidgen, and once we close the rear tailgate, we'll also be able to line it up with the back of the door. So effectively just get it sitting square on the tub. Pretty straightforward. And then bolt it down. So 4 stainless steel M8, you can use a 40mm or a 50mm depending on the spacing. And what you're going to do is you're going to clamp the seal down so that there's about a centimeter or 10mm spacing. That's all, between 5 and 10mm spacing. So just squash it nice and firmly. If you have a look over here, that's effectively the thickness of the seal. So you've got a 20mm seal. We're going to be compressing that to about between that 5 to 10mm range all the way around. Then we're done. Install done, pretty straightforward from this point on out. So let's crack on with it. Alright guys, so that's basically summing it up. We lined it up, bolted it down. As you can see, nice compression on the seal. So between that 5 to 10mm of space left there. Lined up, and also note that when the door seals, it is sealing all the way along the side. Now, one thing, whenever you close up a Rhino cab, you'll have to compress it a little bit to close it up. That's that seal taking up that space. So that's what we want. Keeps it nice and dust proof. Anyway, thanks for watching the how to install video on this Hilux N80 SR5 vehicle, and catch you guys next time. Don't forget to go bush.